Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Aging in Grace. And today I want to talk about the aging life cycle, my experience on Aging with Grace Parent Edition. My aging life cycle document takes us through both the perspective of the parent or loved one and the child or carer. Whether you're just beginning this journey or already navigating its complexities, I'm here to share insights, practical tips, and resources with you. This is not a deep dive. This is a high-level overview to kind of give you a sense of where you might be in this process. The 60s are often a time of transition. For many people, it's about preparing for retirement and laying the groundwork for a fulfilling future. These are the true golden years, but you can help the person who's aging in your life get ready for those years with a couple of key things. Here's the checklist for the aging person. Decide when to take Social Security. There's lots of great references on YouTube, and also the retirement calculator on ssa.gov can also be really helpful. Before you turn 65, you should be signing up for Medicare, and you need to find out what other supplemental things you need besides Medicare. Finding that out is really important. I'll put links in the comments to this video. If you want to handle inpatient, outpatient, and drugs, you need a supplemental program as well. And very important, you need to focus on your health. That means staying physically active and mentally active, socially connected, and find a purpose in life. Life does not end at retirement. In fact, for me, it started. I want that for you too. So think about how you want to be a retired person and whether you're going to just go from working to retirement or have some kind of a ramp down or ramp up. Having that plan will make a world of difference to how fulfilling your retirement actually is. And when the loved ones hit this period of their 60s, what can caregivers do? You may not be a full-on caregiver yet. You might be an advice giver. So then give advice. You might want to also look at their budgeting and planning for retirement to make sure they've thought of everything and actually help them create a very detailed budgetary plan. The next thing is you might want to look at their Medicare planning to make sure they've thought everything through. When my family members hit Medicare age, they hadn't properly signed up yet. So they didn't have all the tools they needed and all the information they needed to get the best healthcare possible. Sometimes we're just a little bit more computer savvy, and so we can help them log in and sign up on Medicare.gov so they can get access to everything they need so that they can manage their healthcare products correctly. And we can help them stay active. If you live near your family member, include them in your kids' baseball games. And if you can join them outside for an activity, do it. The fresh air will help you both. And if you have an extended family, you can do that naturally just by having them over for dinner. And next, the 70s, where you want to have the best possible health and the most possible connection with your loved ones. And at this time, your supplemental health care should start to make regular screenings for your health. 70s are also great years for travel. That could be traveling domestically an hour from your home to do something you've never done before, or going abroad. My mother traveled 12 years in a row to Europe, and I think she saw every single corner of Europe. And she loved it. She actually, believe it or not, liked to stay at hostels so that she could help young people trying to navigate Europe for the first time because she was an old hand at it. It gave her so much joy. I'm so glad she got to do that. Make sure you're staying on top of your mental health, your physical health, and your medications. Make sure you know what you're taking, why you're taking it, and how you should take it to maintain the best results from that medicine, otherwise known as the therapeutic level. These are things that are going to give you the energy to pursue your passions, have your next chapter of your life, and set goals with a purpose. And when they reach 70s, caregivers, take note. You want to monitor the medication. This might be controversial, but I can tell you, people can get over-medicated in their 70s. Make a list of all the medicines they're taking together with them. Google it to find out what is this medicine meant to do. So encourage them to stay physical and mentally active, and keep them involved in family events. When you see someone's joy of life declining, take action. Talk to them. Have them join more events. Or find a new hobby to do with them. You know, it's the small things in life at this point, so make sure you're taking part. It's a point you won't regret. These are the golden years your parents should be enjoying, but you should be enjoying as well. Now let's move on to 80s and beyond. So this is a time of planning and reflecting, but also thinking about the future. So looking for comfort and security during these years, Take some frank conversations about cost, expectations, what your wishes are, and how your family can help support those wishes. Now, what I find is at this time of your life, especially if you're feeling really great, you may not want to have these conversations, but that's the time to have them. Have these conversations when you're still well and young before you get to the end of life stages. It's much harder to do that. And also, it's much harder on your family to do that when you're at the true end of life. So explore assisted living options and let your family know one, how much money you have for those things, and two, what you'd like to see happen as you progress in your age. Would you prefer to stay in assisted living for as long as possible? Do you want to go to a home? Would you like to live with a relative? Does a relative have space for you? Making those kind of agreements and even contracts can help keep everyone's expectations set and a clear understanding of costs, because costs are going up exponentially everywhere. If you live in a country where there's natural multi-generational household, this may not be a hard call. But if you don't, if you live in a country where people are distant from their elderly relatives, it might be a harder discussion. But frank, open, honest, and loving discussions are required at this time to make sure expectations are set, make sure you understand the costs of things, make sure you know where that money's going to come from, and documents are organized. Have a discussion about power of attorney. Power of attorney is a really good tool so that if you're not able to manage your affairs, either due to dementia or something like being in a coma, your family can act on your behalf. In other words, they can do what you want them to do. That's what a POA and living will are meant to do. And I have friends in their 60s now who I suggest, if you don't have family living close by, pick a friend to be a POA. It can be that that will work for you better because that person knows you, understands your needs, and is close enough to have access to doctors and support staff to let them know what you want to have happen next. Some people at this age have to suddenly go to the hospital, and what they do is they write "do not resuscitate" on their arm or DNR on their t-shirt, and they think that is a binding contract. Well, most doctors won't accept that. So remember, without a POA, if you are not capable of advocating for yourself for some reason, like being in a coma or having dementia, the hospital will follow their own rules. And if you're a caregiver, couple of points. Research in advance assisted living and homes for your parents. There's all kinds of sources you can use. I'll be talking about that more on this channel. But also, you need to start talking about what their expectations are. And if you're going to be the POA, make sure you read up on what it takes to be a POA and what the process is in your state to legally take that role. So make sure you know what your parent wants so they don't have to go to extremes like writing "do not resuscitate" on their arm. And finally, when the end of life gets near, you'll need to make decisions about hospice care. Preferences for end-of-life care helps you live your life and end it the way you want. And here's something I want to tell both the parent and the child. If you're part of a large family and you and your parent are deciding on things around end of life and how they want to manage their memorial and things that happen after, I even suggest making videos. Because if people question your decisions that you made with your parent, it's sometimes helpful to have that. Having your parents say, "This is what I want. Susie's going to handle it, and I want to be cremated. I want to be donated. I want to be buried." Having that video can also help. And if you're a caregiver, here's 3 points I want to give to you at this end of life time. 1, take care of yourself and your emotional state. This is one of the hardest times of your life. Give yourself grace and give yourself a break. And don't be alone out there if you're a caregiver. This is the point where if there's help needed, you need to create your circle of support. Family, friends. Sometimes you even need to pay for support. You need to also watch your energy levels and the focus that you have right now, which might be on work and kids and your spouse. And you need to keep that in balance with the goals you have for the person for whom you are caregiving. You want your parents to have their best life ever, but not at the cost of your health, mentally or physically. As your parent needs to move into things like hospice care, make sure you know how to find great assisted living, great hospice care, and a great home for your mom or dad. If you're not sure how to do that, don't worry, I've got you covered. I'm going to be producing videos on exactly that process a little later in this series. For many of us, these conversations are difficult, and I hope you found this information helpful to you. I'll be talking more about each one of these situations in detail, so don't worry, more information is coming. So whether you're here for practical advice, emotional support, or a sense of community, you're in the right place. And I'll see you next time on Aging in Grace.